Wow. My AB game partner being Tenmyoji was already kind of like, but it being Dio, he's out for blood. We already know he's not gonna freaking go easy on us. He doesn't care who he kills. But it does seem like he wasn't expecting to find the Axelavir either. Is that real though? It's literally a bottle with the word Axelavir on it. We never got to find out in the other route if it actually worked on Quark or not.
Ambidex ゲートが開放されました。Ambidex ゲーム投票の締め切りまで残り45分です。
悪いな。一足先に開かせてもらったよ。
So no matter in what situation, even if we're with Dio, we're still gonna get surprised by him opening that. Dio. In one of his hands was a moon key. He twirled it around like a veteran gambler, grinned, and slid it back into his pocket.
別に構わないだろ。お前と四つ葉がすぐに来ることは分かってたし、それに気が変わらんうちにさっさと済ませちまった方がいいと思ってな。次の AB ゲームを。
I glanced around the warehouse. Oh, they're here already. Alice and Kay were back. As was Phi. And of course, Clover. Where'd Tenmyoji and the rest of them?
医務室にいるわ。
クオーク君をベッドの上に運んだのです。天明寺さんとルナさんはその付き添いに。
I see.
容体の方はどうなの？
容体と言われてもな。ひとまずぐっすりと眠ってはいるが、体の中で何が起こっているのかはわからん。
No change then, huh?
そうなるな。
ところで、シグマたちが入ったのはどんな部屋だったの？
There was a freaking bottle of virus medicine in there! A laboratory.
バイオラボ。
それって細菌とかウイルスとか DNA とかを研究する？
Yes!
そんな感じだったね。
そこに抗ウイルス薬、アクセラビルはなかったのか？
Don't ask me, please!
この部屋で抗ウイルス薬を見つけたことを他の奴らに言うなよ。少しでも話せば次の瞬間には薬は床の上にぶちまかれることになるだろう。
My eyes flicked to Dio for a moment. No, nothing. Okay, so we don't get to pick here. We're just being blackmailed by him and we're just falling right into it. Beside me, Clover bit her lip. I'm hoping somebody notices without me actually saying it, especially because we have Clover here, who is not a very good liar.
そうか。
So how'd it go with you? Find anything interesting? Phi only shook her head. With a unison of movement that almost looked choreographed, Alice and Kay shrugged.
それでこれからどうする？投票の締め切りまであと40分近くあるけど。
アリスはどうするつもり？
私はあなたたちが入ったっていうバイオラボが気になるからそこを覗いてみようかと。
それじゃあ私が案内する。
そうしてもらえると助かるわ。
俺はアリス、ケイ、天明寺の3人が入った部屋を調べてみるかな。もしかしたらお前らが見落としてるところがあるかもしれないし。 そこにアクセラビルがある可能性だって。
What a bastard.
ではそちらの方は私が案内しましょう。
シグマとファイはどうするの？
Well, I think I'll start by heading over to the infirmary to see how Quark's doing.
ならば私も付き合おう。
さあ、それじゃ行きましょう。
She nodded to Clover, and they disappeared through the magenta door. Dio and Kay followed a few footsteps behind. Okay then. Guess we should be going too.
いや、待て。
Oh.
その前に日記帳を見せてくれ。
Oh!
ディオから聞いたんだよ。部屋に関する詳細は教えてもらえなかったが、ただ、わけのわからない言語で書かれた日記帳を見つけたってな。それをシグマが持ってるって言うから、見せてもらえないかと。
Yeah. One sec. I dug the journal out of my pocket and handed it to Phi. She began to flip through the pages, her eyes quickly scanning each one.
これは、ラテン語だな。
Latin? You mean you can read it?
時間と辞書があれば。
So in other words, no.
仕方ないだろ。こいつはおそらく研究者の書いた研究日誌みたいなものだ。今日はボブとお散歩に行きました。とっても楽しかったです。とか。そんな感じの日常的な記録が記されてるわけじゃないんだよ。ほとんどが専門用語だらけで、何が書いてあるのかさっぱり。
Why would somebody put their research notes in Latin though? Does that mean that this book is really old? Phi started to leaf through the book again as she spoke. Then suddenly, she stopped.
待て。このページ。216ページに書いてあることなら、なんとなくわかるぞ。ここだけは、研究記録じゃなくて、執筆者の独白のような内容が書かれているんだ。
What's it say?
そうせかすなって。今頭の中で訳してるんだから。なるほど。わかったぞ。どうやらここには、ラジカル6に関する事柄が記載されてるみたいだ。
In Latin? What? Why are they talking about that?
ああ。上から読み上げていくぞ。
When the body is infected with Radical 6, the processing speed of the brain is reduced. If we assume the brain currently operates at a 1-to-1 basis with regard to time, Radical 6 reduces this to 1 to the root of 1/6, or approximately 1 to 0.408. This means that for each second that passes outside, the patient feels that only 0.408 seconds have passed inside. Therefore, when 1 second has passed inside, approximately 2.45 seconds, or the root of 6 seconds, have passed outside. In other words, when 10 seconds pass in the real world, a patient infected with Radical 6 would feel as if only 4 seconds had passed. I feel like that's not very intuitive to me, but in a nutshell, if someone is infected and 10 seconds pass, then for them it's 4 seconds, but the contents of 10 seconds in real life would have to fit into that 4 seconds, which is why everything feels fast-forwarded, is, I think, what it's getting at here. This is why the virus has been termed Radical 6. Radical is another term for what is also known as the root operation, the function inverse to the taking of a power. In a less mathematical sense, It can also be used to refer to something that is extreme or severe. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide. The exact cause of this is unclear, and although there is, as of yet, no direct link between suicidal urges and the reduction in mental processing speed, many believe that they are not unrelated. Those infected with Radical 6 perceive the world to be moving at a fever pitch, as if it were a video cassette being fast-forwarded. For instance, although the patient believes that only 10 seconds have passed, in fact, 24.5 seconds have passed. Given this increased speed of input, maintaining the ability to observe and reason would become a Herculean task. One theory holds that the disparity in time perception causes the brain to be flooded with massive amounts of information. Unable to keep up, it begins to fail. Whatever the cause, the infected invariably attempt to take their own lives, which is arguably the most terrifying aspect of this virus. Research suggests that a targeted antiviral could kill or at least disable Radical 6, but we have been unable to develop one. Which is really weird why there was one inside the safe. We don't know if it's real or not. It seems our best hope now is to harvest antibodies from someone with a natural immunity to the virus. Thus far, however, we have been unable to locate a suitable subject, so I have continued my efforts to discover an alternate means of treatment. Given my current rate of progress, I predict that I will have a workable treatment within a decade or two. Decade or two? When was this written, though? It is my fervent hope that humanity will be able to survive that long. The bodies of those dead from suicide are piled up along the roads leading into and out of town. The entire area reeks with the stench of decay, and the sky is filled with the constant buzzing of flies. At times, their swarms are so thick that when one passes, it feels as if a cloud has gone over the sun. Every day, I see more crows, and rats are everywhere, feeding on the dead. Ironically, the only healthy-looking creatures are the stray cats, who have grown fat on a plentiful rodent diet. The few humans who survived the outbreak have been locked away by the government in underground shelters. I don't know how many were saved, but I fear only a handful. Their survival is the only hope that remains for the human race. Oh Lord, please, let their future be a bright one. Vi's translation skills are clearly up there if she can translate that whole thing. That was a lot of information and not easy. Not easy to translate. Whoa, that's a lot of information. Now we know what the virus does to you, though. If you get infected, your brain slows down by the root of 1/6. That's, what, about 40%?
重要なのはそっちの方じゃないだろう。
The killing yourself part.
ラジカル6は感染者の自殺衝動を喚起する。
Yeah, you're right. What we saw in Quark. That would explain why Quark was, well, trying to kill himself.
他にも気になる点は2つある。まずは、未だ抗ウイルス薬の開発には成功していないと記されている件についてだ。どう思う？
What am I supposed to make of it? Maybe they just hadn't found one when this journal was written? I mean, from what we know, there's a drug called Aksys that cures it.
だよな。だが日記には、抗ウイルス薬の開発には、あと10年から20年はかかるだろうとも書いてあるぞ。
Hold on a second. I'm getting confused. When was this thing even written?
12月29日。
This year? This year.
年数は記されていない。
It's this year. It is! They hadn't developed it yet. but in the future they do. So they've used their time-traveling glycerin magic to bring back some Axelavir to cure us. Is that too much to ask for? Well, there's no way it was written this year.
まあそうだろうな。
It's in Latin.
次。
If it's in Latin, I feel like it should be, I don't know, a few hundred years ago from now.
2つ目は地下シェルターの件についてだ。例の新聞記事は感染者の隔離について言及していた。そこで我々はもしかしたらここがその隔離施設なのでは、そんな疑念を抱いたわけだが、この日記の記述はそれとは真逆の可能性について示唆している。非感染者たちは政府の用意した地下シェルターへと収容された。
You're trying to say that this place might be one of those underground shelters. Which would mean we're all supposed to be uninfected. We would have been thrown in here to keep us safe.
ああ、断言はできないが、可能性はないこともない。
Well, Quark is already infected, though. And we mentioned this before, too. It's just so strange because, according to the knowledge we have, people outside and people inside are infected. So it's like, why are we even separated? But Quark's been infected, right?
ウイルスがどこからか潜り込んできたのかもしれん。
That would be bad.
よく考えてみてくれ。
How does it even spread? We don't even know.
もしそうだとしたら、いろいろとつじつまが合うだろう。
The pantry. A lot of food.
我々はこのシェルターへと放り込まれてかなり長い間、そう、何年も何十年も眠らされていたのかもしれない。その間にパンデミック、世界的なウイルスの感染拡大が発生し、あの新聞記事が書かれ、日記が書かれ。
And then once the antiviral treatment was finished, they woke us up?
そうだ。
But why would they put us in a game where we have to kill each other? And then we just randomly stumble upon the medicine in the safe?
あくまでも可能性の話だがな。
No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it seems like a pretty plausible scenario, but we were all captured before the pandemic started, right? And how would they have put us to sleep for that long? How would they have known to do that? But most importantly, why the hell are we playing the Nonary game if the point of this place is to save us? Throwing a bunch of people in a game that might kill them is a pretty weird way to protect them from a pandemic. You know, it's unfortunate that the Phi in this timeline doesn't seem to be the same one in the other one, the first timeline that we came across where she knew about the rules, because that one seems to know more. And this one, I'm leaning towards thinking that this Phi hasn't experienced that yet. Like the Phi we saw before, chronologically, was after this Phi. If that makes sense. I don't really know how the timeline jumping works, but I think you get what I mean.
確かに、それもそうだな。
See?
とにかく、新聞と日記だけでは情報が足りないな。他にも何か手がかりがないか探してみよう。
Phi had barely finished speaking before she took off for the magenta door. Hey, weren't you coming to the infirmary with me?
気が変わったんだ。クオークの様子については、後で報告してくれ。
Okay. And with that, I wanted to tell her about the Axelavir. Oh, God damn it. She was gone. Man. I let out a long, tired sigh and started off toward the infirmary. How's he doing?
特に異常はありません。
相変わらず眠ったままじゃよ。
I see. Mind if I have a look?
ええ。
I made my way around the partition to the side of Quark's bed. The journal and thing Fine I talked about would definitely need to be addressed, but for the moment, the AB game was what I needed to concentrate on. Lives were at stake. Mine. And Quark's. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide. If the journal was telling the truth, then as soon as the anesthetic wore off, Quark would go insane again. What if we weren't able to restrain him a second time? What if he managed to kill himself before we got to him? Or perhaps he'd just get out of the infirmary and go hide somewhere. On the other hand, it wasn't like we could keep anesthetizing him forever. There was only one way to save Quark, and that was with Axelavir. Unfortunately, Dio had stolen it. If we wanted to get it back, Clover and I would have to vote ally. But if I did, there was an excellent chance I would end up dead. You know, among all of this, we still have the problem that if I betray, I can save my life, but Clover will get a 9. That's still a problem there. The question was then, what to do? Sacrifice myself to save Quark? Or keep quiet about the danger he was in to save myself? And this is not something you can keep to yourself too, because Clover will know. It was so faint, I almost didn't hear it.
じっちゃん、じっちゃん。
He shifted a little, then fell silent again. It was enough though. What on earth had I been thinking? How could I even have considered letting a child die in my place? Suddenly, my cheeks felt hot with embarrassment and disgust. That I had considered letting Quark die, even for a minute, was pathetic. There was only one choice. There had ever only been one choice. No way was I going to leave Quark to die. My hands tightened into fists as I looked down at him. This is kind of weird because I don't think they've ever insisted on me taking a certain choice before. With Sigma's internal thoughts. Cause that's dirty. Using Sigma's own thoughts to influence me. Any uncertainty I'd felt before was gone. I knew what I had to do.
Ambidex Game 投票の締め切りまで残り10分です。
Nobody here knows yet, but I'm also infected.
プレイヤーは速やかに投票を済ませてください。所定の時刻までに投票を行わなかった場合、未投票者の選択は強力に設定されます。
そろそろ時間じゃな。シグマ、ルナ、お前さんたちは倉庫に戻れ。
What about you?
わしはここに残る。クォークのことが心配じゃからな。
でも天明寺さんはそろばんですし、投票しなかったら
自動的に強力に設定される。そんなことは知っておるわ。つい今しがたのアナウンスでも言っておったしな。
What are you gonna do if Kay and Alice vote betray?
別にどうもせん。ただやられたと思うだけじゃ。いずれにせよわしは強力にしか投票できんのじゃよ。対戦相手であるアリスとケイのペア。
He can't kill Alice.
そのうちアリスの方は BP が1じゃからな。もしもわしが裏切りを選び、奴らが協力を選んでしまったら、わしはアリスを殺すことになってしまう。
But Kay is going to get out if they choose betray.
そんなことをしてまでわしは脱出したいとは思わん。クォークを置いていくわけにもいかんしな。 従って AB ルームに入ろうと入るまいとどっちにしろ同じなんじゃよ。わしの手は強力で決まっておるからな。
Tenmyoji's mind was made up. Trying to persuade him to leave would have been pointless. Alright. Take care of Quark.
あ、心配には及ばんよ。
Let's go.
はい。
Luna and I headed out of the infirmary, leaving Tenmyoji and Quark behind. When we got to the warehouse, we found everyone else waiting for us. Alice and Kay are gonna see that Tenmyoji's not going in. But Alice shouldn't let Kay have a 9, so they might actually ally. Well, not quite everyone. One other person was missing, Dio. Hey, where's Dio?
AB ルームの扉見ればわかるんじゃない？
They're all closed. When we came in here before, the one on the far right was open.
つまり？
That he went in, I guess.
そういうこと。
That bastard. He'd probably been worried that I might try to take the Axelavir from him by force, so he'd hidden himself in the AB room. What a coward. I'd made up my mind to choose Ally, no matter what, but... a part of me had still considered trying to jump Dio if he dropped his guard. Now he'd made sure I wouldn't get the chance to try.
ところで天明寺さんは？
ああ、
Luna explained Tenmyoji's choice.
そう。それじゃあ天明寺さんが裏切りを選ぶ心配はなくなったわけね。
そうなりますね。それでアリスさんとケイさん、お二人はどちらを選ぶつもりなんですか？
もちろん協力で決まりよ。だって
私の BP が6だからですね。
ええ、そう。天明寺さんが協力で確定している以上、こっちは裏切りは出せないわ。なぜならそんなことをしたら K の BP が9になっちゃうから。
ですが、もしも K さんが AB ルームの中で強行手段に出たら
ご安心ください。私はそのような粗暴な真似はいたしません。
Really now?
本当ですか？
ええ。
だったら K は AB ルームに入らなければいい。
Good! Good idea!
投票はアリス一人で行うんだ。そうすれば余計な心配はしなくて済むだろう。
Good idea!
いや、しかし
You shouldn't reject it!
申し訳ありませんが、それはできません。
どうして？
どうしてもです。さあ、アリスさん、行きましょう。
I just can't. End of conversation.
おい、ちょっと待てよ K。
Kay continued briskly toward the AB room as if he simply hadn't heard Phi. Alice scrambled to follow him, perhaps concerned that he would lock her out. Only seconds later, they disappeared into the third room from the left.
大丈夫でしょうか？アリスさん。
So much for trying to guarantee an ally.
信じるしかあるまい。今は K の言葉を。
But why won't he just not go
締
in?
め切りまで残り5分です。
Why can't he give us that guarantee?
時間がない。ルナ、行くぞ。
They headed off at a trot toward the second room from the right and were soon out of sight inside it. Alright, Clover. Time for us to go inside.
わかった。
I sighed to myself and headed toward the leftmost AB room. Am I really just going to ally? I don't know. It feels kind of dirty that they try to make me think ally.
シグマ、どうするの？
I don't really have a choice, do I? There's only one thing I can do. I'm going to choose ally.
ダメだよ。そんなの自殺行為だってば。
Well, you never know. Just because Dio told us to ally doesn't necessarily mean he's going to pick betray.
あいつが、あの男が協力を選ぶかもしれないっていうの？ありえないよ、絶対。だって、ディオの BP は6なんだよ。裏切りを選んで3点取って脱出しようと思ってるに決まってるじゃん。
Well, what about you? You've got 6 BP too, right? If Dio chooses ally and we choose betray, then you'd have 9 BP.
そんな可能性、今の今まで1ミクロンも考えたことなかったよ。
I believe her. I don't think Clover is that manipulative.
だって何度も言うようだけど、ディオは裏切りを選ぶに決まってるし。
And I'm trying to tell you that I've made up my mind. That's who I am. The only choice is ally. It's the only chance we have to get that medicine back.
だからディオに IB って言われるんだよ。こっちが協力を選んだって必ず薬を返してくれるとは限らないでしょ。
Maybe he won't, but I can guarantee that he'll destroy it if I pick betray. That's who he is.
わかったよ。これだけ言っても聞いてもらえないんなら仕方ないね。
Is she gonna press it before me?
投票ボタン押させてもらうから。
Huh? Before I realized what was going on, Clover ducked past me and ran toward the voting machine. No! Stop! I snatched her by the arm and hauled backward with all my strength. Sorry. Guess that was a little too hard, huh?
ちょっと何考えてんのよ。女性に対して暴力を振るうなんて卑怯だよ。
Well, you're the one who tried to trick me.
だってこのままじゃシグマ死んじゃうんだよ。そんなの黙って見てられないよ。嫌なの。あなたに死んでもらいたくないんだよ。
It's amazing how different people can treat you across all the different routes. Just to think of it, the last route, Clover was still trying to seduce me into picking betray. And now she doesn't want me to die. And I guess that's kind of what people are like in general, huh? We don't just have one thought, we have multiple thoughts that are always struggling to pull us into different directions.
投票の締め切りまで残り10秒です。
Thanks. It means a lot to hear you say that, Clover. I gave her my best reassuring nod and turned to face the polling machine.
3、2、1。
They're still letting me pick here, but I feel like for the flow of the narrative, we can only choose ally. Sigma was talking the whole time about it, so I think even if it ends badly, it's something we have to do.
アンビデックスゲーム第2ラウンド終了。結果は倉庫内のディスプレイに表示されます。お疲れ様でした。アンビデックスゲートを開放します。
I'm not so sure about this round. They've deliberately done things to make you be swayed towards a certain choice. Clover and I stepped out of the AB room. For several long moments, we just stared at one another. Words weren't necessary. Everything she would have tried to tell me, I could already see in her eyes. Let's go. I turned and headed toward the results screen.
Sigma.
I heard her behind me, her voice barely louder than a whisper. The choice was already made. I stood up straight and kept walking. Can I hope for a miracle? Look at that. Kay and Alice betray. What did Kay do in there? Kay is not... I won't say he's a bad person, but he's not a simple person at all. Look at that. Dio is an asshole and we know about it, so it's fine. But Kay is always like talking politely and like acting all polite and nice and stuff. But when it comes down to it, this guy is really only in it for the self-interest, so I don't really like Kay. Unless if you can explain it in some way that will make me take this back. But right now, just looking at these results, it's hard to like him. And there you go. Sigma, first -1. What's gonna happen?
結果は以上のように確定しました。各自バングルの数字をご確認ください。
何？
シグマさんの BP が
マイナス。
Suddenly, all eyes were on me. I felt their weight, but stood my ground. It was the result I had expected. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. I didn't have to wait long. There was a sharp, quick pain in my wrist, barely even noticeable. I couldn't feel anything flowing into my veins, but I knew it was there. First would be the anesthetic, Soporil. I blinked, and my vision started to blur. When I tried to think, it felt like my mind had been stuffed with cotton. My legs began to wobble, then gave out entirely as I crumpled to the floor.
シグマ、しっかりしろ。
ねえ、シグマ、起きて。
シグマさん。
そんな、どうして。
Trying to open my eyelids was like trying to lift sheets of lead. My eyes had lost the ability to focus, but I could make out a blur that had to be Dio in front of the number 9 door. Damn it. You'll keep your promise, god damn it. I groaned and with a Herculean effort lifted my head and then my sluggish body off the floor. Every step was a battle, and whenever I shifted my weight, my muscles threatened to give out again. But somehow, I forced myself ahead, a single thought burning in my mind. I would reach Dio. Then, at last... The smudge of color faded into a recognizable person. I threw out my hand in front of him. Give it back. Give me the medicine.
返せって。 まるで自分のものみたいに言うなよ。この施設で見つけたものは俺たち全員にとっての共有財産だろう。
I don't care. Just hand me the medicine.
おい、抗ウイルス薬ってどういうことだ？
We found the Axelavir in the laboratory.
それをディオに奪われて。
なんですって。
それじゃあ今ディオさんは持ってるって言うんですか？抗ウイルス薬を。
ああ、まあな。
I kept my promise. Now, you. I wasn't a fool. I knew the kind of person Dio was. There was a chance he wouldn't give us back the Axelavir. If he didn't, then I'd die with my hands around his throat. I gathered as much of my mind as I could and got ready to attack.
わかったよ。
Not quite what I'd been expecting. I wouldn't say that so soon.
ほら。
With a shrug, he pulled the vial out of his pocket and tossed it toward me. I caught it and pulled a tiny glass bottle to my chest, worried I might drop it. Oh my god. I thought for a second Dio was totally gonna be like, oh, here you go, and then drops it right in front of Sigma's face. Holy crap. The label said, unmistakably, Axelavir. It was a real thing. You don't even know what the real thing looks like. Clover, take it. I held it out toward her.
わかった。
She quickly tucked it into her pocket. Good. Now at least Quark will be alright. With that, the last of my strength left me, and I dropped to my knees.
おい、大丈夫かシグマ？
シグマさん！シグマ！
I guess this is it.
まずはマンドレインを注ぎ込んで意識を失わせ、その9分後にハイメトリンを注入して呼吸筋を麻痺させる。文字通り息の根を止めるってやつだね。
9 minutes. Once the Sopero was injected, I had 9 minutes until the muscle relaxant followed it. About 4 minutes had already passed, which left me with 5, give or take a little. In 5 minutes, I would be dead. What could I do in 5 minutes? How could I save myself? I gave a raspy, quiet laugh. Even with death staring at me in the face, I seemed to be determined to struggle right up till the very end. Okay, Sigma. You can do this. Clinging desperately to what little consciousness I had left, I racked my brain for any possible solutions. How could I save myself? How? There had to be something. Every problem, no matter how difficult, has a solution. There's always another option. Hopelessness is a state of mind. I just had to think. Think. If there was a way out, I'd find it. I wasn't ready to give up on life yet. There had to be an answer. Yeah, I'm not as angry this time because I saw this one coming from a mile away. Oh my god. That's good news though. It means that we will be able to find a solution. We just don't know what the solution is yet. Well, glad to see that it doesn't just end with me dying. Oh, this is a special one too. So far we have quite a few. Yeah, this one we need the password. This one. Lock number 1. How can Fi and K be saved? This is the one where Dio's bracelet was broken, so Fi and K couldn't use it to go past the 3rd round. And now we have this one here. 5 minutes of life! Lock number 3. And wait, what's this one? Is there proof it wasn't murder? Lock number 2. I think I know where this one is going. Should I leave it for later or should I do it now is the problem? The question, I should say. Wait, do we know if there's a possibility that there's other locks behind the initial lock? I don't really want to play a little bit of this route and then run into another lock again. And, like I said before, maybe it'll be cool if we can get all the regular stuff and then go back to all the locks. So maybe for now, I'm gonna pass on that. And we'll go back to the one where we betray after talking ourselves into allying the whole time before that, which is kind of silly, but we'll see what happens.